Mr. Chairman, thank you for yielding to me. I want to talk a little bit about unemployment and how this has an impact on so many of us. The responsibility of this committee is to pursue policies to help rebuild our economy and help crush and defeat the virus. We owe it to the small business owners who've been forced to shut down and their families who are struggling as a result of lost wages or jobs. However, this $1.9 trillion package will just benefit the left-wing wish list items, while another $1 trillion is already unspent from previous relief bills. The whole budget process has been distorted by the use of the Democrats to abuse it in favor of untargeted spending and offer some of the worst fiscal policies this nation has ever seen, like a $15 an hour federal minimum wage. In fact, President Biden has yet to give his administration's estimate of the number of jobs that will be created by this massive spending bill. American people don't need more government regulation or mandates. They deserve to have lawmakers in their corner who will fight with them to get their jobs back, keep their businesses open, and reopen schools. We can increase job opportunities and wages for all workers. It was just a few years ago that we saw real results with tax and regulatory reforms, like the first actual wage growth in decades and historic unemployment lows. We can restore our nation's economy to a place of growth and prosperity, but not when radical left-wing agendas sabotage these efforts every step of the way. We have the tools to defeat the virus. The United States is exceptional and resilient. Since the very beginning, we've been a nation of innovators. It's American ingenuity and grit that will allow us to bounce back from this pandemic, not the failed policies of big government and unrestrained spending. I'm disappointed that my colleagues would support this self-serving bill over the needs of so many Americans. Unemployment insurance plays such a role in helping workers during this pandemic, but Democrats, along with the Biden administration, continue to push unemployment policies that discourage job seekers while simultaneously refusing to support job creators and even killing jobs. For example, in the state of Nevada, if we include this $400 increase from the federal government on top of the state unemployment payments, the median worker will make more than 100% of what they would pay if they were working. That's not going to encourage people to go back to work. So instead of working to get Americans back to work, President Biden wants to increase the federal minimum wage to $15, killing an estimated 1.4 million jobs, according to the Congressional Budget Office. Speaker Pelosi stalled the reopening of the Paycheck Protection Program for months while small businesses closed their doors and laid off their employees. President Biden decisively killed thousands of American energy jobs in his first week in office, and he's seeking to kill even more with his proposed green initiatives. Because of this bill, Americans will have fewer jobs than they do today. It's unconscionable and short-sighted to increase unemployment in a package that result in more unemployed Americans. Federally funded unemployment compensation has already been massively expanded in response to the health crisis as a result of the largely government-imposed shutdowns of economic activity. We passed the CARES Act provisions that expanded unemployment benefits for unemployed individuals by an extra $600 per week on top of their regular state unemployment benefits. This provision hurt our economy more than it helped. Some Americans on this had a higher income than when they were employed. At $600, roughly 68% of those unemployed were making more money on unemployment insurance than on their previous wages. We cannot kickstart our economy when we allow Americans to be dependent on government assistance. Instead, the unemployed should help families pay bills until they were able to find work. It's clear from the Department of Labor's Office of Inspector General, at least the letter they sent Congress this week, that there's been massive fraud in the unemployment programs. The fraud is easily expected to top more than $64 billion nationwide. In California alone, unemployment fraud is more than $10 billion, with an additional $20 billion in unemployment payments considered to be suspicious. Democrats have no plan to prevent unemployment insurance fraud. This bill covers 74 weeks of unemployment coverage with no requirement to stop the fraud, although such fraud's been rampant. This bill doesn't include anything to prevent that fraud. What we need to do is focus on how do we get the economies going and how do we focus on making sure that people can get back to work. We need to make sure the schools get reopened. We need to make sure that we support the programs that help individuals in their access of making sure that they get back and able to restart their lives the way we were a year ago before the pandemic hit. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
I thank the gentleman.